everyone, and welcome to our how to segment. Tonight, we are going to be focusing on how to build a character. So, maybe you are new to D&D, or maybe you have never played online before, or you are just new to D&D Beyond, or what have you. But we are going to break down step by step on how we actually come up with a character. First off, I'm Joanna. I am your dungeon master. And last time I was talking primarily to DMs, new DMs, about how to set up and get ready for a campaign. Tonight, we are going to be talking to players. So I would like to introduce our player that we have here with us tonight. You know him, you love him. At least I do. It's Miles.
You can hate me too then. I always just the attention is what's all matters. Hello everyone. It's your favorite Void Spawn, the friendly neighborhood Reaper. Greetings to all curious configurations of creatures. I am going to give, I guess, what is my perspective or my method to the madness that makes me the multi-class master. Ha ha ha.
Yes, and Miles and I, we if you haven't figured out by now from our campaigns, we are a husband and wife, and we have used D&D to sort of just, stay connected as a husband and wife, but also just as friends, and keep that connection of a friendship level together. And D&D is one of those hobbies that it really does build friendships. So whether
But
you
also, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
whether you're playing with people that you've known for years or people that you just met, like, you can build some lasting friendships throughout D&D.
Also helps that we're giant nerds, so
Yeah. Oh yeah.
D&D does a lot of what we like.
Oh yeah. Definitely giant nerds over here. So in last week when we were going over how to set up a campaign, we are going to be setting up this character tonight, and you will see them in our Tyranny of Dragons campaign, which you can watch the Tyranny of Dragons campaign, and from start it's its own adventure, it's its own story. It does loosely connect with our Heroes of the Borderland campaign. So if you haven't watched Heroes of the Borderland, it is now streaming on YouTube and Spotify, and it does feature Miles. But
Yes,
all of our campaigns feature Miles because it's perk to being husband of the DM. But
I'm never
um,
going anywhere.
so we showed you how to set up a campaign and then send out the links the to your players. So Miles, when you talk to us a little bit, when you hear what the campaign is going to be, talk us through a little bit of your process. What do you mentally do before you build a character? What's your first thoughts when you're trying to set up your character?
So I feel like I have to preface this by the fact that I grew up as a Warhammer nerd. So there's always kind of like a dual aspect for me when it comes to that. There's the hobby aspect of it, or like the role play, I guess, or like character aspect of it. And then there's like the numbers, the actual stat points, and the rule set. And I usually delve deep into both. And the first thing I try to do is separate myself from the rules set and try to think purely in character because you can stat max to oblivion, but if your character has no substance, he's just going to be, or they are just going to be an effective block of stats and not an actual character that you were actually having fun playing. So,
So we are going to go ahead and get started with building your character. So you received the link, clicked on the link, and hit the build a character. So why don't we go ahead and open up your character sheet?
Not ready, boy.
You should be able to do that. The
Oh,
character
Joe,
builder.
to hit it.
Yeah.
Edit.
Edit.
I might have gotten a little carried away here.
That's fine. So, you all will see that you have. We are going to be using D&D Beyond. We use D&D Beyond for our character information, like our character sheets, and our virtual tabletop. And I use Incarnate to build maps that are not provided by the modules. And I use tabletop audio and Monument Studios for music, and Canva for editing, Zoom for recording. So that is how we are processing our stream. But we are here. We are at our home screen. And Miles, what have we named our character?
Um, we were juggling with a couple names. The first thing that landed in my head when conceptualizing this character was Snapfuse. And that came up as a name in conjunction with this idea of a smaller character um, that is not necessarily ill-tempered, but it can he's I don't want to say OCD, but like it doesn't take much to set him off, and he'll get very, very about it very quickly. And I wanted I had first thought about Vernon as his first name, but I thought that felt a little too old and human. And going with the more diminutive, probably no more whatever we go for here. I went for Vronin for a little fantasy-esque twist on it.
Okay. And you are going to be playing as a
A
barbarian.
barbarian.
A barbarian. So let's go ahead. We are starting at level one. So let's go ahead. Can you go through and break us down how you're going through and setting up these class features?
Um, from here, this is where I usually get stuck in for a good long while. Sometimes I'll even make copies of the characters and try to conceptualize them up to certain levels to get an idea of how to inform the character. So I gotta be honest with you, half the time I'll leave this stuff blank unless I have a very firm idea of who I'm playing.
Right. And that sometimes changes. So like example, we were playing one campaign and Miles had like in the campaign and ready to go, he had one character. We get to session zero and starts hearing about like the ins and outs of what really is going to happen during this campaign. And on the fly, he changed it out, and now he's got a character named Marius Sablehorn that you'll see in another campaign coming up
Yeah,
soon. Uh,
actually, actually started off as a human fighter named Marcus of Ilkarag. I had the original paper sheet. It was my brother's, and I had made a copy of it. And during that session, I don't know what it was about that, but as you were talking, he kind of walked out of the fog of my mind and was like, "Oh, hi there," and I was like, "Yep, okay, I'm
and we're
playing him."
doing it.
Yep.
So don't be when you're building your characters, don't be 100% don't be afraid to change them, because like just like how we as humans in our regular day lives, our thought process changes, our thinking changes, your characters might change as well. So for starting purposes, Miles, what barbarian skill proficiencies are you going to select for Mr. Snapfuse?
Well, with the initial character that I have in mind, because again, sometimes I leave these blank, and I'll even go into setting up the background or setting up the race first to try to inform that because oftentimes you'll get into, say, like, he's not a savage, he's just barbarism is his method of emoting, kind of. So he would have a good amount of, say, like, I would say perception
Mhm.
because it's the society he lives in is not necessarily a feral society, but it's not. What he does requires him to be alert. And then I would actually say, um, for Snapfuse, not necessarily athletics, but something more like intimidation, because you wouldn't necessarily find him like overtly intimidating at initially, but the minute he lost about something, he would get like, "Oh, okay, calm down, Ronan." And that's what I'm trying to emote with him, so I would probably lean towards that.
Gotcha. And then
Nobody heard that.
so we'll have perception and intimidation again. That could change as the campaign goes along. Talk to us. This is something very unique to barbarians. Talk to us about rage. What exactly is rage?
Rage, I guess the best thing to do would be to just kind of read it. So you will imbue yourself with a primal power called Rage, a force that grants you extraordinary might and resilience, and you can use it as a bonus action and enter it if you're not wearing heavy armor. So that,
So
sorry.
a good example of this, if you watch our Icewind Dale campaign, which you should be, we have our character Enrico Tethris, who is played by Luca. And he's a barbarian, variant human barbarian. And you'll hear him say, I'd like to enter rage. That's his bonus action. And what he will be able to do once he's raging, he'll have that damage resistance and the rage resistance, but you have to first enter into it. So use that bonus action to enter in to your rage. What else you got on here, Miles?
Damage resistance, just is always good. This is when the Warhammer nerd in me starts thinking about rules and starts thinking about like numbers of uses, where I can utilize these, what I should be doing with my character when they're in these positions. And I also know things like, since I played a barbarian before, I know that they can get bonuses on their intimidation checks, I think like once per long rest. So
Mhm.
being able to stack that on top of the initial intimidation proficiency means that, once in a blue moon, he does something and then I can just kind of lean into it. Um, I get extra damage with strength. I have advantage on strength checks and saving throws. And I had that rage damage, which did we, did we homebrew anything about that? Or does that
Uh,
matter?
yeah, we do homebrew some stuff. I don't know that we're going to use it for this campaign. I haven't decided on that. So tune in for our session 0 to find out if we have some homebrew rules around the rage. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
So
and
you,
homebrew rules for players and new DMs, those are basically like, yeah, that's when you get to say that this might be what the standard rule says, but this is how we at this table are playing. Or if I love coming up with magic items and monsters, so sometimes I'll put in there a homebrew magic item or a homebrew monster. It just means that it's not a standard thing. It's something that came out of my head. Or I've taken notes from Dungeon Dudes, Dork Tales, or Rogue Watson, some of these other, people that I watch. And if I like what they're doing, I'm like, hey, I want to do that too. So we're gonna have that as part of our homebrew. And that's great. Like, take inspiration from some of these other dungeon masters and other players that you see.
Yee.
So But anyways, what is next on our list to fill out your sheet?
Yeah, so after the rage damage, I will say no concentration or spells is something that for the character's initial concept, I was kind of like, so I'm actively thinking or at least in the background, how to work around that. On armor defense, while I'm not wearing any armor, my base armor class equals 10 plus my dexterity and constitution modifiers. And I can use a shield and still gain this benefit. So it means if I wanted to lean into something more dexterous, despite having a strength leaning initial with with the rage damage, um, it's still an option. It also leads me to be more defensive. And
Gotcha.
then we get to the weapon mastery, which is my favorite part.
And it's very important when you're setting up your weapon mastery, make sure in your inventory you have that weapon that you have mastery with.
Scimitars are broken.
Yeah.
Sorry, scimitars for all
Kimitars.
those. For all those. Oh, so you guys can see some of these here. Um. Um. The I will say the initial concept of Snapfuse was as a gnome barbarian, likely in either a craftsman apprentice position or um in a working adjacent to an artificer, like maybe as an artificer's assistant, but he's a little too short-tempered for it. So I did want something to kind of match for all you Warhammer friends nerds out there. What's his name? It's not Thermoplug. It's the leader of the gnomes. He's got a giant wrench that he uses as a weapon.
Oh,
So I would, yeah. So I was thinking like a great club or actually I was thinking more like a Warhammer because I do love versatility and push is really good.
and what exactly is push?
So push, if you take the Warhammer Mastery, I can push a creature up to 10 feet straight away from myself if it is large or smaller, which allows you to control the battlefield in ways that aren't necessarily always movement wise, say 10 feet into a pit of lava, suddenly a creature is out of play, and you have now created space. You have now, commanded an area, and I see barbarians as your traditional kind of tank, even if they are swingy swingy.
Hmm.
So I find that there are multiple ways to play that, but one of them is that kind of battlefield control where by sheer brute force, I literally just knock you around and you actually can't respond to it. So it doesn't necessarily have to be raw numbers.
And then what are we thinking for our second weapon mastery?
Well, I'm sure I can't get an antimatter rifle or an automatic.
No,
Eh.
not in this one.
See, a longbow would be good because it would give me a ranged option because I'm always thinking of um I try to be there are a few characters that I end up playing, I find that don't have some amount of versatility. I find that's my general play style. I like being able to adapt to situations. Um, with Vronin, I want something that I can do range, so I'm not sitting out like a lump or a log or some even if it's something movement wise. But I am considering
I
strength.
I will say for this one because it is connected to Heroes of the Borderlands, I will allow a pistol.
Okay. See, a pistol changes that too, because pistol mastery allows for a different set of. What about do I push for the shotgun right now?
I mean, pistol, revolver, we can do one of those. because I believe Azula gave Zab a revolver, so revolver is up for grabs as well.
The revolver's got sap, which would actually be really good because giving a creature disadvantage, say if I'm not in a space to actually move, I could still react to. But I think it really depends. There's a number of different rules that come into play with that. So then I start going back and forth through that, and then that's when I'll start adding second characters or copies of them and stuff like that, or start going through this here, available at higher levels. I'll start reading through these, and especially with the subclass, sometimes I'll make that copy character and bump them to level 3 just to get an idea of what my options are if I'm not just outright searching. So. Um, the revolver sounds like a good choice for now.
Yeah, and well, as we've said, it could change, it could evolve.
Well, it works well with his background as part of like a tinkerer's assistant almost.
Mhm. All right. What is next?
Next, after you bounce to the bottom of the D&D screen, is your background, which I've not chosen yet. I've been a
All
good
right,
boy.
so let's talk a bit about backgrounds because I feel like a lot of people in my experience they'll select a background and then it doesn't they don't really use it to kind of like help their character along a little bit. So I want you guys when you're thinking about making a character, and this is what I try to encourage my players what with their background, try to think like if you select the criminal background, but then we don't really see your character you know, doing any sort of criminal acts, or are they not on the run? That's never come up. Why did you select a criminal background? So, Miles, talk to us, break us down, and what is your thought process when you're selecting a background? How do you feel like it influences your character?
For backgrounds, I typically will go for something that I find backgrounds are quite literally backgrounds.
Hmm.
It helps define the character before they become the adventure that you see now. So whatever they were doing beforehand, I mean, even if it was something like a hermit, maybe if they were just a hideaway out in the woods and they stumbled into something like that is a viable story if you have the chops to play it. But um, I always look
I
for
mean, case in point, Leaf in our Icewind Dale campaign was stuck in like the wilderness by herself for 2 3 years and got around people and just kind of like freaked out. So that's a way to play it.
right. And I find there's also interesting ways you can play certain backgrounds. There's always, you know, a criminal background doesn't mean that you're a career criminal. It could mean you're a reformed criminal that, decided to take a turn out on the road to do something good in life. Or um, I have one character that has the inheritor background, and it is solely based on his notion that he is born of the blood of a dragon and he is owed his inheritance as the blood of the dragon that he is, a part of. And he has nothing necessarily to prove it, um, other than his own word and whatever he brings to the table, but that it informs his character.
Yeah. And so for Tyranny of Dragons, what I have told um all of the players, they are residents of a farming town called Greenest in the Forgotten Realms. And they don't have to be born in Greenest. They don't have to be like born and raised in this farming town, but they have lived there for 5 years at least. It's a small town where everybody knows everybody. So with that in mind, what do you think Snapfuse's background is?
See, despite having all this time to think about it, I haven't really quite pinpointed it. I wouldn't necessarily say, I want to say something, I want to, whatever would be closest to like an apprentice. I have this idea of him born and raised in the town. He might even be generations deep. And he is either like a craftsman as an apprentice, and I guess in this kind of industrial age that we're getting into, they could even like a tinker shop or like an artificer's apprentice,
Do they have
and he
artisan on there?
artisan.
Artisan.
Um, Sweet talk occasion. Tool. You know,
And see, this is where it's good to to talk it through and work with your DM, because if Miles is telling me this is what I'm thinking for my character, and this is where homebrews come into play. If what he's looking for is not in D&D Beyond, then I can go as the DM and make him a homebrew background that's going to fit his character, because as my players are playing, I want to make sure that they are having the most enjoyable experience, and I want them to be able to play the characters that they envision, and I don't want them to be kind of I don't want them to be boxed in any way, shape, or form. But always talk to your DM before you start custom making fancy stuff.
we yeah, the artisan initially sounds.
Because you could always select artisan, and then if we need to tweak it a bit, like maybe I make you an apprentice background and we go from there.
Smith's tools. See, but then I'm thinking about my multi-classing, and that's going to be
We're not there yet.
too late. We can go for artisan for now. That seems like a solid one for now. I'll get some, let's see, do,
And so what he's doing now is he's selecting what type of artisan background he has, and that will be like what what kind of tools he may have in his inventory. Um, and that'll come into play. And then me as the DM, if I know that, hey, he's got an artisan background, and um let's say he's got cook utensils, then me as the DM, I'm gonna look for opportunities to let his character show that. So if we're having a down moment, like, is he cooking for the group, or is he a painter? Is he painting? This all helps establish who this character is.
yeah. Yeah, and see, characters like that will influence me as well. So, um, I don't know how much we can. Um, if anybody knows about the IT crowd, um, Moss from that is somebody I immediately thought of, or that we eventually thought of when it came to this character. Um, and knowing his character from the show, I'm tempted to kind of like lean towards that and find some like calligrapher's supplies would be hilarious and useless and like, or it could be useful.
You
Who
don't
knows?
know. It could be so useful.
Yeah, when is he?
And here's my thing. Because my play if a player tells me it's useful, it's totally useless, Well, now it's very useful. We have one campaign going where um, a a NPC didn't speak any sort of language whatsoever, but he did know common sign language, and our bugbear was the only one that actually spoke common sign language. So the entire scene was
Oh,
just these two
man.
going back and forth with sign language. And it kind of was like everybody goes, I didn't know you knew that. So it's when you have those odd things, those quirks, you can it's fun for the DM to be able to go in and pull them out.
Gotta love a bugbear with a sign language.
Gotta love a bugbear with sign language.
Cork know what he say.
So far, it looks like we're selecting some
You guys
calligrapher
gonna
supply and smith tools.
and see like the ability score. I usually leave that one blank because I want to see what I roll
And
before I start shifting it.
right, we can
But
always, you can always come back to it.
yeah, so I'm gonna do this because I want him to be smart and strong, and then jeweler's tools because who doesn't love a jeweler? You know what? I love pouches. I'm pretty sure I use pouches to help organize my characters' inventories.
We'll come back to that. I'll come back to that
Oh,
section.
that's fine, but that's gonna let the workers' tools. So that looks like we're getting down to character details.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The character details. I want to save that for last.
We'll spin back to that. I guess we'll go back up and go to species.
Species.
I know I want something small, and the gnome was the first thing I thought of. So I go through well, and you don't want to go through that details page. Uh-oh. I have broken it. 1 second. Anyhow, sir, I did it again. I'll go through the creature type, humanoid. That's great. I'm not necessarily looking to be an ooze this time. Oh, small. That's what I'm looking for. Speed is 30 feet, which is important to me because there are some things that are small that are slower than 30, and you can call it out.
hmm
Dark vision is always nice, even if the DM likes to downplay it. Like, gray is better than black. Sorry. Gnomish cunning is where I was like, oh, advantage of intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. That's and then the gnomish lineage, not a forest gnome. He'd definitely be more like a rock gnome, rock and metal. Especially when I saw the tiny clockwork device. I've read through this before a few times. Um, but upon seeing this and knowing that he gets lineage spells, I'm pretty set on the gnome, honestly.
I like that.
Yeah. Um, so I get to choose my gnomish lineage. His, like I said, illusions aren't really his thing. He's more so just actually just trying to get it right. And so fixing it with mending, prestidigitation to give him an extra hand with things, tiny clockwork devices, uh, and then my gnomish lineage. Again, strong and smart. So we're going to lean towards intelligence for his spellcasting abilities. And then we get to choose a language. I get common plus two languages. Um, I don't often roll for this, especially since this is where I don't know if it's okay to metagame, but I metagame a touch sometimes. Unless I'm playing a character that is so far out of context, like Marius, who wouldn't know anything other than his home languages. I try to keep something at least to the campaign.
Hmm.
So you said tyranny?
Right. And then I did let all of the players know for Tyranny that Draconic and Giant are two things that will 100% come up in the game.
See, that's fine. But knowing common is important. Knowing gnomish, having not knowing gnomish, despite being a gnome, which like, ouch. But that's fine. I gotta know gnomish. And I think I actually would pick no goblins in there, are there?
Not not like off the bat.
I feel
I don't
like
particularly plan on putting goblins in this one.
I feel like giant would actually be better because there's a couple of barbarian subclasses that lean towards, excuse me, giants in their lore and their build-up. And then giant would be good for any giants we run into. And I don't know why I find giants relatable to gnomes. It's like the really big, really little kind of thing, I think. So that would be my language choices.
Okay.
And we're moving on to abilities.
Abilities.
My
And
favorite part.
this is where I find people get confused. So, um, you're gonna roll for your stats, and I always have the my players do a manual roll. Um, Again, make sure you check in with your DM to see what they want for you um for rolls. But I allow um 3 sets of rolls. So Miles, take us through that, walk us through what you do with your dice rolls.
Okay, so we're gonna roll up our groups. This might take a minute. Ooh, a six. That's terrible. Okay, we got group number one. You can also change your dice on here. I'm been stuck with the Lego dice since they came out with them.
Is that what I'm looking at?
Yes, yes, it's the little Lego pieces. Don't you love them? Oh, a little bug. Ah, sorry, I'm just taking my time with these. This has been known to freeze on me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just mine, but
No, it's D&D Beyond.
okay.
And yet we still use you D&D Beyond, and we recommend you in all of our videos. So, sponsor us.
We love you, D&D Beyond. Oh my God.
My husband and I have spent literally thousands of dollars on you. Okay, so we've got our 3 sets. So now walk us through your process on how you're deciding what stats go where.
Well, this is not a bad listing of stats here. I know off the rip, I want strength, constitution, and intelligence as the three I'm leaning towards.
Now
Um,
tell us what
Good.
made you make that, because obviously each character gets, different abilities and stuff. Why is strength the most important for a barbarian?
Strength is important for a barbarian because many of their built-in abilities scale off of strength or have strength involved or have the strength modifier affect something. So like I said, there's an ability that you get at some point that allows you to, I believe, add your strength modifier to your intimidation score for like once per long rest. So stacking that on top of, say, like a proficiency intimidation means that on one roll, unless I whiff on a one, like I got a plus 12, plus 15 off the rip, and hey, Ronin's gonna get who he wants.
Mhm.
So it allows me to influence. It allows me to. It scales really well with everything that barbarians do. I mean, damage wise, they get bonuses on strength damages, strength checks, an advantage on strength checks, and I think saving throws when they're in rage.
So
So
what he's doing is of those three sets, he's picking his best score to be his best stat. So we've got the 16 for his strength. What's your second most important?
Constitution.
And what exactly does Constitution do for your character?
Constitution is just gonna make me tough. And it's also gonna make me withstand a lot of the conditions that you run into that aren't like magical. So if it's like a poison or something like that, like a Constitution save is usually what's in order, and being able to take that and be a frontliner, somebody who can take hits and call somebody, hey, look at me, I'm not going down from all your stabs. You better do something about it.
And so this really, so whether you're, even if your top score is strength, or let's say you're a spellcaster and you need your top score to be uh charisma or wisdom, whatever it may be, you still want that constitution to be kind of high up there, wouldn't you say, Miles?
I would say never make Constitution your dump stat.
Yeah.
You will get smacked out so fast by, or like sucked dry by a couple of sturges.
And then what's your third stat?
Intelligence. Again, character is going to be strong and smart.
Okay.
Uh, I have two 14s here, so I'm just going to pick one of those and throw that there. Um, Leading into the intimidation, I would normally do, but I feel like for the strength of this character, I want to play it down just a touch. So I'm actually gonna sacrifice and throw a 13 into my charisma, just so you never want to somebody who's got too many high stats, somebody who's just stacked out to have and is not an interesting character. You want to give yourself some struggle or give your character some struggle. It helps you develop them. So, I do like a good wisdom stat because despite what I just said, a failed wisdom save will kill you. So I don't play around with wisdom. From here, I'm probably gonna start applying ability scores just because you're split between three of them. You can get confused really fast because I almost forgot my dump stat, which is dexterity.
What does dexterity do for a character?
Dexterity is going to be a character's general like agility slash like finesse, like it not quite. Is it acrobat? Yes, acrobatics does play a
Hmm.
hand in it. Yes, but like how deft of hand they are, how fast they are, basically, and how quickly or capable they are of like dodging out of harm's way. It's really good for like AoE magical attacks, especially you rogues out there. Once you get that ability to just outright dodge, the uncanny dodge.
Hmm.
Uncanny dodge is so good. Especially you got your nice fighter rogue barbarian out there triple classing and ruining your wife DM experience.
Yeah.
Long live Malkov. Okay. We're gonna reapply just in case, and we've got our stats here. What do you think, boss? How
All
bad are
right.
they?
Looking good. Let's move over to what's next on our list.
Yeah, but equipment.
Equipment. All right, let's go ahead and set up our equipment.
Now, here's gonna be a secondary problem. Because I want a Warhammer, I'm probably gonna have to go into my starting equipment and hit the gold, the starting gold, and just buy one.
I am going to let you start out with one
Okay.
because I am the DM and I said it's okay.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm probably still gonna take the artisan tools, which is same as the proficiency. So I picked up
And that's
Tinker's
fine.
tools.
If you're looking at his sheet, can you close that real quick? If
Uh,
you're looking at a sheet, it gives you two things. So you have your barbarian starting equipment. Uh, So you have your barbarian starting equipment, and it gives you the option where you can start with either your great axe, four hand axes, the explorer's pack, and 15 gold pieces, or you can get rid of that and just start off with 75 gold pieces. So it's basically, do you want your weapons or do you want your gold? And Miles is selecting he wants his gold. Then
I'm
you
gonna get
come
a
down to the artisan starting equipment, and he gets this because he selected artisan as his background. So again, you can either have your artisan's tools, which is the same as his proficiency, two pouches, which he's got a weird addiction to, and traveler's clothes, and then 32 gold pieces, or he can pick the 50 gold pieces. And he has selected that uh he'd like the stuff, and then choose your option for your proficiency.
I'll take a tools.
Think of tools.
Add start equipment.
Hmm?
Up. Sometimes I like to name these pouches. Sometimes it'll be like chest pouch or like hip holster. I named one utility belt. I think that was on either Kalen or Grimja. It helps with the character as well, because sometimes I'll do that with some of their weapons, and you can do little customizations to some of the weapons. So like, oops, let's go. Actually, it's a good time to show add items. Since DM said I could have a Warhammer, I'm just gonna throw a Warhammer in here.
So
Give
you
me
can have a warhammer and you can have a revolver, because I think those were the ones that you were proficient with.
you are too kind. You are too kind.
And
So
no, this is not a perk for him being the husband.
no, she usually makes me do all the rude stuff in the game, and
It's true.
I didn't want to be a barbarian. I'm lying. I wanted to piss her off with another barbarian. I'm not lying.
This is true.
Okay, we can get our bullets. What would you say would be a fair amount of bullets to arm a man with?
Well, you're in a small farmer town, so
10, 20?
let's say about 10. You're probably using it primarily for protection.
Okay. Hey, there's just the arms now. I probably will pick up a backpack of some sort. I'm sure we could finish that later, unless you want to run through that.
Say that again.
I said I did want a backpack still. He's gonna go out on an adventure. Explorer's backpack would probably still be something I would pick up. I know
Yeah,
that's about
you can put that in there.
25 gold, so I'm willing to.
Yeah,
Oh, it's only 10 gold. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
you can
like,
subtract that from your gold.
I can pay for that. I think you see gold. Got a hair. I usually have to do it manually. Shh. Nobody talk about my math.
Now to 7.
One word. Okay. Then it would be what's next?
Okay, so let's come on back here and talk about, because I feel like this is what gets people the most. Your personality traits, bonds, ideals, and flaws, characteristics. So, character details. Let's go into your personality traits. Uh, I, for my players, I allow them um to either roll for it, or I allow them to just write it in. So it looks like, does this
Yeah.
have a drop down?
No, not this one for some reason. Although I'm not sure why. Uh, Usually I can see it somewhere. Oh, 5-5. He works so well. Shall I do this? Hang on. Let's do this. Let's see something there. Was there no artisan back in 5e? Just because we're I could try guild artisan, see if it does it.
Oh yeah, we could try that.
Let's make it time. Well, insight and persuasion instead. Ooh, I get a background language for that. Let's slap Draconic on there real quick. Go back to Tinker's Tools. Hmm. That is probably going to change my starting equipment. Should I go back?
No, we can handle that later. This is what we
Okay.
mean, guys, by like when you change stuff, it affects other stuff in the game. But we're trying to see.
Yeah. Suggested characteristics that would be
There
what
you
we were
go.
looking for.
Suggested characteristics. So if you're looking here, scroll down a little bit. If you're looking here, you um talk with your DM and see what they want you to do. Some DMs say they want you to roll that D8 to see what you get. Some say you can just select it, some say you can write it in. I want you to play something that you are going to enjoy playing. So, Miles, do you prefer to roll, or do you prefer to just select it?
Unless the character was already pre-made, like with somebody had I had preconcepted or pre-made, I roll
Okay.
because I usually let that to help me determine the character and then make edits accordingly.
So let's go ahead and roll a D8 for your personality trait. You got two.
Okay, D8 number one. Oop, can't nobody see that. Pardon me. We're at D8 number two. Can anybody see? Can you guys see that?
We
I can't see.
cannot.
Okay, so close this up real quick. Go down here. These are my two. I'm well known for my work, and I want to make sure everyone appreciates it. I'm always taken aback when people haven't heard of me, and I like to talk at length about my profession.
Okay. And then let's go into your ideals.
Lost my place. Hang on.
So for this, you'll roll a d6, just one d6 for your ideals, everybody.
Aspiration. I work hard to be the best there is at my craft. I'm actually gonna spoiler alert here. Typically, I'll add an extra one to give a little nuance.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know if you're okay with that. That's
That's
usually
fine.
what I do. Yeah, because right, greed. I'm only in it for the money.
So
And now all of a sudden, Vronin has this angle that's like, do I play it? And if I do, how do I do it without being so evil?
a little peek behind the curtain into my DMing style. Um, I am way more interested in the storytelling aspect of it than to get hammered down by rules. So uh my as long as my players are giving me good reasons why they do this, like for instance, giving Ronan a evil money greed angle, like I'm fine
Like,
with it. So
like he's secretly like the, what was it? Was it the hamster from the Bad Guys?
yes, who is still played by the same dude.
Yeah, yeah. He's secretly like, I'm actually out for myself. Yeah.
All right. Bonds.
Let's get up on.
Hmm.
Let's get up on.
And this is also at D6.
I created a great work for someone. Oop, closed on me. I then found them unworthy to receive it. I'm still looking for someone worthy. Oh, yes, and that's been his whole impetus. Like, no, you can't have it. Only if you
Okay,
pay
and
me.
then flaws.
Laws are my second favorite. Sometimes I do an extra one of these too.
Flaws are also D6.
Oh, see, somebody's who's watching. Wizards, are you doing this on purpose?
What is it? I'm never satisfied.
I always want more.
More, more, more.
I'll be the best, even if I have to cut everyone down to do it.
And then the other thing that I also have my players think about and try to put in, normally I have them write it in their notes. Quirks. What are little quirks that your character might have? So, um, in one of our campaigns, we have a guy that, in order to keep calm, he stacks stones. So, it'll be interesting to see that play out. Or we've got, if you've watched Heroes of the Borderland, Saza, she's really big on smoking her pipe, and you hear her talking about smoking her pipe periodically. So even in her picture, she's got a pipe. So I always like to have my players think about what kind of quirks they may have, or in Ulrich's case, addiction issues.
Yikes.
So, what kind of quirks do you think Vronin may have?
Hmm. Well, if we're gonna keep with the moss aesthetic, I feel like one, he would need glasses, and two, he would like not constantly necessarily be fidgeting, but I feel like he'd always feel the need to like pick something, move something back into place. Something's out of place, something's doing something here. Like I could see him even picking at other people. Like you see a hair out of place, he'd have to smooth it. If you see, you know how you got those some people who have to like pick hairs off of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see him doing that. He'd like pick hairs off of people.
Gotcha.
Not because it was helpful, but because it was bothering him.
And then you don't need to fill this out just yet, but I want you to be thinking about it, and we will get more into it at session 0 for your getting into your backstory. Do you have allies or different organizations that you are associated with. You don't need to answer again, you don't need to answer them right now. We'll cover it at session 0. But start I've asked all of the players to, think about that. And the more you fill out, it's kind of like it's the more you fill out on your character sheet, the more you will understand your character, the more you as a player will be able to process. But also from a DM's perspective, because we can see your character sheets, and not all the your fellow players might not be able to see the full character sheets, but us as the DM, especially, I know me, when I'm going through and planning out my sessions, I am going through character sheets to see what can I pull out. Is there an NPC in their backstory that I can grab onto and maybe throw them in and put them as an NPC, like they're reunited with them? Is
Yeah.
there Are they fleeing an organization, fleeing from somebody that's in their enemies? So the more you have on your character sheets, the more likely your DM is going to thank you later. But Miles, is there anything that you would like to add from a character standpoint, a player standpoint, about setting up characters?
I would say um it's a labor of love, one. So yeah, let your character speak to you as much as you are telling your characters what they are. So my still some of my favorite characters are characters that have kind of just bombarded full formed from my head, and I like Marius and I run with it, and I have never looked back, and I have enjoyed every moment of Marius. So like so I would say, yeah, like let your character speak to you, and yeah, talk to your DM. Do not be afraid to switch your character up for the sake of the campaign, and you will have this tendency to get stuck in what you think your character is supposed to be for the story, and allowing yourself to edit your character and yourself, and that whole thing for the campaign will ultimately lead to a better experience. And you think you're missing out on something because you're not, playing your green goo cat that's not an ooze or a plasmoid, but it also has no idea of what typical, humanoid civilization operates on. And if you find something that'll fit with the campaign, you'll have a much better time. So yeah, I mean, just work with your DM, work with your character, do your labor of love, and keep at it.
Yep. And next time we check in with Miles, we will go over the nuances of multi-classing.
Oh
So
goodness,
we
I'm gonna
will
have to write I'm gonna have to write a piece for that.
I might have you and Jackson talk together on that one.
Oh yeah.
But but for now, we are going to sign off. Next time, tune in next time, and we will tackle how to cover a session 0.
Yes, and tune in eventually, I guess, at some point for a multi-class master class. Yeah.
Multi-class masterclass. Love it. All right. From all of us here at the Roost. Good night, everybody.
You nerds.